Hello, world. It's Tuesday. We're so thankful to be here. And it's the first 11th of 2022. That makes me all warm and fuzzy.
Your number, my number, right?
Yes, 22 and 11. Oh my goodness. Eek. So many beautiful things around numbers this week. It's the 11th. Today we've got 113 happening on Thursday, our first 13th Divine Feminine Day, all sorts of wonderful things. And we are coming to you today with a compact show. It is a wild ride of a Tuesday for us. So we are going to jump right in it with some breathing with Molly. Let's go.
Yes, let's deep breathe. Let's just find our seat through the sitting in those sitting bones, lifting through the crown. Let's bring our right hand to our heart, our left hand on our belly, and just slow it down. Today, we're just going to feel that beautiful rise and fall, that breath wave in through the nose, expanding the belly. Connecting breath and body. Really fully deep breathing here into the belly. And just noticing the shifts that happen when we connect intentionally with our breath. And let's begin.
Love it. I love it when you have us touch our hearts and our bellies, especially the belly. The ladies out there, we usually don't like to touch our bellies, but I love touching the belly. I love it.
I love touching my belly.
Yes.
The little food belly.
The food. My friend Barbie calls it her food baby.
Yeah, her food baby.
My food baby. Okay, so we shared last week that one of the things that we are diving into this year is the cards that we love and adore and that are woven into everything. And look, Molly is holding up the gem. So each week we're going to pull an archetype card and one of the Divine Feminine cards from Meggan Watterson. We're going to talk about them on the following show. So last week we pulled the gem and Teresa of Avila. And so that's who we're going to talk about today. And Molly has her book. She's got some really cool things to read out of that. So let's dive in. What do you want to start with? You want to do the archetype first, or you want to talk about Teresa?
You choose. I don't care. Either way.
I say let's talk about Teresa first.
All right. What was that? I had like kind of a weird accent. And all of a sudden I was like, all right. So Saint Teresa of Avila is the author of a very fine book called The Interior Castle. And essentially this book is a roadmap guidebook on how to go from our outer worlds into the inner world of discovery of self, or capital S, self or soul. And we talked before, like, about Saint Teresa and sort of her role really as somebody who could hear the voice of God, and and why she had such a profound impact on the time. One, because she was a woman hearing the voice of God, and then right, and then two, because she was commissioned by the church then to document it.
Yes.
So there was the things to me about her, and I'm going to read an excerpt of the book, because what it does is it talks about when to know when you are truly hearing spirit versus not hearing, or being deceived, right?
Yes.
And for some sort of weird way, for me, like when I was a kid, my prayer as a kid was always to not be deceived. Which is a weird, strange prayer for a child, I know, but I don't know. It's like sort of my universal prayer, just like, Lord, help me not to be deceived, which is really strange. So weird. I know. Okay, let me just read this. I thought it was really apropos, especially when we talk about things that are outside. And again, she was a Catholic nun. right? And when you read this text, it's very similar to Buddhism. It's very similar to sort of the work that's been found in the Yoga Sutras. So there is this universal thread of truth woven in every sacred text. And so this is someone who experienced it. So let's just dig in here and then we can chat about it. So she says, 1, a genuine spiritual voice is so clear that the soul remembers every word, as well as the tone of voice in which it was spoken. And if a single syllable was missing, she notices it. When a spiritual voice is conjured up by the imagination, the voice may be fuzzy and the language indistinct, like something overheard when you were half asleep. 2, and this was her experience of connecting to spirit. 2, frequently the soul hadn't even been thinking about the things she hears in the spiritual voice. The transmission often comes unexpectedly, maybe even in the middle of a conversation. Sometimes it does refer directly to a passing thought she had or to something the soul had been pondering more deeply at an earlier time. But it often has to do with a future the soul never believed could or would happen. The imagination just can't make things that never crossed the mind. The soul could not be deceived about things she never desired or wished for or even imagined, could she? 3, in a false spiritual voice, her imagination composes bit by bit what the soul wants to hear. In a real one, she hears truth. 4, the words are received differently. In an authentic spiritual voice, the mind grasps truth far more profoundly and with greater immediacy than the intellect could ever present on its own. And 5, the truth that is conveyed to the soul on the wings of words. I think that's beautiful language. Yes. On the wings of words.
So true. Oh, yeah.
Simultaneously transcends all words. I'll never be able to explain this, but I will try to say more about this special mode of understanding later. It's an exquisite and subtle thing and cause for praising our Lord. So what's cool about this is this nun, this woman, and I mean, we don't really talk about that very much in our culture anymore, of people having, what are they called? As an art historian, there was always like it's a special word. I'm forgetting it, but it's like,
can you charades it? I don't.
Sounds like
I don't know.
It's not. I keep thinking like a emancipation, but it's like something.
Epiphany.
No, yes, something.
I love seeing your brain try to work through it.
Oh my gosh, this is what is called COVID brain, because I had COVID over the holidays, and honestly, like the brain is not back to like.
Oh my gosh, that's frustrating.
Like, yeah. So.
Like
on the tip of my tongue. But anyways, we have a lot of these moments in our history where people are receiving and getting divine, inspiration and hearing or seeing, creator or angels or spirits.
Yeah.
And like, that is like, we don't really talk about that stuff in our age. And it's like, is it happening less, or do we just not hear it?
Yeah, I think that we maybe don't in first world, because we've been taught that, even though we're talking about somebody who was born in the 1500s, who was a Carmelite nun, who had direct connection with the Pope and was commissioned, as you said, she actually wanted to reignite the origins of the Carmelite path. And so she actually had to do the work in order to be chosen to do that. She was not a woman of inaction. And yet it was more believable that she would have experienced this experience because it was the 1500s versus now we require proof.
Yes.
It's proof. It's this like, well, really? I mean, can you imagine if Jesus was here now? like the Jesus that actually walked the planet, dirty feet, probably didn't shower, but for, once, whatever, every time he saw a river, maybe, I mean, we would not give him credit for being the son of God.
That is true. And I'm here, I am like getting a download while you're speaking. And that is because we are tethered to phones and media, that we don't have any space for quiet.
Yeah.
So we have no space to receive. We're just consumption.
And I think that that's part of the shift that we're seeing. And so in Teresa's time, she felt that that's what was happening and wanted to re-engage with the older ways. She wanted to bring that sect of Carmelites back to where they started, right? Where they lived a very simple, almost pauper-like existence, and where they only survived on alms, not on money from the Pope. And so it had to be very local. And she actually, in that time, thought everything was becoming so grandiose, right? And yet, when she stepped into her power and listened to that divine download of we need to get more people back to this, to a simpler time in the 1500s, people back to simpler times. She, in her lifetime, in that final, I think it was like 25 or 30 years, she opened 16 convents, and her male counterpart opened several monasteries that were taking people back to the basics. And I feel like there is, in our own way, that same kind of resurgence right now.
And so my soul craves 1,000%.
Yeah. And we are finding more time. There are some people who are ready for that. And I feel like we're all kind of gathering together, and it's such an eclectic motley crew.
By our beautiful red threads, right?
By our beautiful red threads. Yes. And so for those of you who have never met Teresa of Avila, please read about her. She is worthy of your time. Read The Interior Castle. So again, we're reading out of the Divine Feminine cards by Meggan Watterson. This is the card that we pulled. Order this kit. It's, I don't know, like $25, something like that. You can order it. We'll drop the link for sure for you to order it and learn about her. Like, that's been the best part about this journey. Both Molly and I will send each other pictures of, oh, look who I pulled today. And it allows you to have a deeper understanding of these women who walked this planet before us. And although some of them may be more mythological in nature now, because it's been, millennia since the actual woman who inspired the stories walked the planet, it doesn't matter. Look for the beauty. In Meggan's book, she also always includes a soul voice meditation and a little bit, a little intention. So the soul voice meditation for Teresa of Avila is, what does love feel like in my body? So that's a great question to ask yourself this week. What does love feel like in my body? And then the intention that we set with her is, I trust the answers I find within me. I know that the presence of love is real. And so that's these small stories, these small, powerful stories that Meggan has put together about each one of these women. What I do love about even her intention that she writes about in the beginning of the guidebook is she doesn't give everything about all of them. She wants us to have enough so that our curiosity is piqued. And so that's for all of us this week, is to go out and walk the planet thinking, how does love feel in my body? Like, what is, what I know it's real. So let me pay a little bit more attention to that. Okay. So I love, yay. The first card is done. All right. So now the gem. Let's talk about the gem. Yeah. So
before we do the gem, I do want to say that we need to manifest that Meggan Watterson actually comes on the show, that we can interview her this year, because she is an absolute delight. And is the author of Mary Magdalene Revealed. And for those who are interested in the sacred feminine and understanding goddess, that is the place to start.
I will reach out to her today and ask her how to make that happen.
Yes.
How's that for manifestation? Okay, so you have the card of the gem. The gem is from the Wild Unknown Archetypes guidebook. So this is also, I mean, the beauty of archetypes, and there are of course many cards that talk about the archetypes. This kit is beautiful. Molly introduced us to it. So tell us about the gem, Molls. What's up with the gem?
Yeah, so the gem is an interesting one, right? So again, it's the association is the diamond, the gold, or the inner treasure. So if you are Googling archetypes and want to know more about archetypes, it's also the diamond, the gold, and the inner treasure. And another good book for you to check out if you're interested in going further with the idea of the diamond is a wonderful spiritual book called The Diamond Cutter. So just throwing it out there, and we'll put a link as well, but that's another beautiful spiritual text. So the key though about the gem is, and what I like about the archetypes and is that we talk about what the archetype looks like in light or when it's in balance, and then what the archetype is out of balance. So for me as a marketer, truly understanding archetypes is really, really important as it relates to psychological motivation, right? So if we are going to create archetypes for people as marketers, we know what's going to bring them in light, like how they'll be psychologically motivated when light, how to inspire people. Yes. And then what sort of FOMO or fear motivator factors will inspire behavior based on their darkness or the shadow stuff, right? Their deep fears. So what we want to talk about, and maybe you want to read an excerpt, but when light, it's unique, it's shining, it's generative, and it's irreplaceable. And when dark, it's envy and greed and grasping. And so why are we talking about archetypes? And again, it's a layer of intelligence about sort of these universal energies, because that's really what an archetype is. It's a universal energy, like a bucket of an idea, so that we can better understand sort of something as a whole, instead of, and again, it's just a layer of information to go deeper.
Yeah. Well, and what's really fun about this book is beautiful, by the way. Agree. I mean, the illustrations are beautiful. And Beth, I promise I won't make a change to the design, but what I really dig about this is that they use all these little pockets of space.
I know, right?
Oh my gosh, I can't.
Although I find that hard to read, but maybe it's just me being.
Well, I like that I fully engage with it. So there's the title, and then each side, kind of the margins, the bottom. I love the inside margin. It says the moments of your life that glimmer are clues to where the gem resides. Let me say that again. The moments of your life that glimmer are clues to where the gem resides. Don't covet the sparkling diamond of another. The gem is like a fingerprint, never to be repeated again. Find yours. I love that so much.
I do too.
I mean, everything, it feels like, again, a different way to say, be you, find, be authentic, right? But it has this way of focusing us on this other thing. And I want to share this with you. This is one of the things Andrew got me for Christmas.
Oh, beautiful.
It's a raw emerald. And it's a machine didn't touch this. A human wrapped this glorious, I don't know what you call it, little copper wiring, just caged it in this beautiful, I mean, it's just, I touch it and it just has this, I feel it, right? Like I feel the love that went into creating the piece, the love that our creator put in, the magically placing the right chemicals and the right pressure inside that rock. And I think from the marketer side, I'd love to hear how it works inside the intentional business in the book that you're writing, that you're getting ready to launch. But from a human perspective, I love the reminder that we don't all have to be diamonds to be the most valuable.
Oh, I love that.
Right.
Well, and like the idea of the gem archetype. I mean, we all say, oh, you're a gem, right? When someone is doing something,
Yes.
And again, it's like the sacred origin of these things, like the meaning of the meaning. And like that's really in the book, that's the intentional business, which launches on Tuesday, 2/22.
I'm loving that you keep calling it Tuesday. I love it so much.
Tuesday. I can't take credit for that. Someone said it to me and I was like, oh, sweet. Yes, that's it. Tuesday. Yeah. But what it is about layering, again, intent, and like the idea of gathering and building and growing energies, right, is the same thing when you layer. It's like, okay, I understand, like if I'm going to be writing an article, my archetype for this article, is the creator or whatever. And this is what motivates her, and this is what she's afraid of. And so I need to make sure that I'm going to cover, this and this, so that this is a piece of content that will move her.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, that's so beautiful. And so I think it's an interesting time to say, like the gem is only one of many, many, many archetypes that are talked about in the book. But there's also archetypes like the mother, the father, the starborn, the eternal child, the desert, the bridge, the temple, the village, the flame, the riddler, the tear, the seed, the stone. So what I love about what you just said is there's actually like two players when a post is written, when an article is written, right? It's one is the author, like what archetype do I want to embrace?
Yep.
Do I want to be the teacher? Do I want to be like the private investigator? Do I want to be the seed? Yes. Or do I want to be the gardener? Like how we look at ourselves as we're getting ready to write an email or write a post or create a video. And then how do we want, what archetype do we want to ignite in the person who's going to consume our content? So I love that so much. I think that's.
Yeah. I think the origination of archetype work is Carl Jung. And I don't have his book upstairs because it's downstairs. It's on my day-to-day reading, but it is, he was really the originator of that thought, like that there are these certain universal energies that we all contain. Yeah. We reference Carolyn Mass often in her book, Sacred Contracts, where you can actually create your own individual archetype wheel. Yes. Based on your some sort of divination or intuition, as well as, we all have four primary archetypes that, according to Caroline Mass, we all have four primary archetypes that we all embody in the course of our life. And that is the child, whether they're a wounded or a magical, or, there's different child archetypes, the victim, the saboteur, and the prostitute. Yes. So there's 12 primary archetypes that she defines in our archetypal wheel. But those four we each have. And so then it's a matter of figuring out the rest. And that could be a fun project that we do on our retreats, is helping people create archetype wheels. Yeah, totally. My mind is reeling, thinking like, I'm sure that there are listeners out there are thinking like, how do I know what I am? How do I go through that process? And I know that we've both done it individually, but it sure would be fun to do it together and to guide others. So let's add that to the list for sure. We're like having our pajama party retreat, doing archetype wheels and yes, I love it. I love this format is going to be so much fun. And I know that some weeks we'll dish about other things. But I think this is, I love the idea of creating snackable bites on archetypes and these amazing divine feminine leaders, these pioneers, these women who have gone before us, who are going to teach us throughout the year through their stories, through whether it's a book like you read today, or
variety like quotes that have gone, stood the test of time. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of those. All right. So before we hit the top of the hour here, I am going to pull next week's Divine Feminine card. She just popped out.
Oh, if they pop out, you've got to choose it.
You got to choose it. You can't, I usually grab a stack and count to 13, flip the 13th, but man, when they pop out, I step out of the way.
Yes.
So it is Sarada Devi.
Oh, wow. The Divine Mother.
The Divine Mother. Look at this gorgeous sari she's got on. Wow.
That's seriously crazy.
Yes. And she says, unconditional love exists within me. The presence of love is the absence of judgment. Ooh, I feel already a little golden thread between Teresa and Sarada.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I look forward to digging into learning more about her next week. What card are you gonna pull on the archetype side?
Okay. You want me to pull this one or you want to?
No, go for it. Go for it.
Oh gosh. I find these a little bit hard to shuffle, but it's fine.
Yes, they are harder to shuffle when they're circles.
And I have very small, strange hands. Like I feel like I'm like a Saturday Night Live skit with that woman who has those little baby hands, like T-Rex hands.
I love those skits though. There's actually a gal on Instagram that does a whole bit with the little baby hands. Anyways.
Okay, so the card that we have pulled.
Ooh, the womb. My goodness. Ooh, the Divine Mother and the womb. Wow. Okay. We're going to get some serious mothering on next week.
Well, and the thing is that I love this so much. But the thing is that, for those of you out there who haven't pulled cards or who don't know about archetypes or who don't really understand what we're doing with these, the women, learning about these women, or I just like, and you did this too when you first started, and it was really beautiful. And I did this as well. So I think it's probably a thing. Is I was trying to figure out, see myself in the person always, which is my person, or, I connect to this one or connect to this thing. So we're always trying to figure out. And I think that the beauty of this practice is that that is the point, right? Is that we are seeing ourselves and learning and going deeper about who we are and how we walk together through the lens and the teachings of these women. And so when there are those moments where yes, that really resonates, those are the gems that you write in your journal, right? Yes. Because that know thyself this is part of the unearthing of that knowledge. So
yes, so good. As we unlearn aspects of ourselves that were those things that were spoken over to us as wee lassies. It's fun to remember and to replace those words, the stories, the personal power to be awakened inside of us. Okay, so we're going to talk about those two next week. We're also going to revisit our word of the year. We're going to talk about our playlist, some other fun things that we've done to support them, what we've experienced so far. I'm really looking forward to that. All right, let's do our 3 breaths and
yes, and this breath again is something that Meggan Watterson teaches, and it's our 3 breath. Let's do just one big clearing breath together. So in through the nose, and big exhale through the mouth, letting it all go.
Roar.
Inhale, fully divine. Inhale, fully human. And inhale, anthropo, fully human, fully divine being. So good. The intersection of both, the divine experiencing this world through the material aspect of our sacred vessel of the body. So good stuff.
Yes. And we talked about being within this week. We're going to talk about being within. Sounds like it's kind of a theme running in January, along with hygge. Finding that coziness and comfort. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today here live, here on the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We look forward to our conversation continuing next week. See you soon.